Shane Murphy here, entrepreneur and restaurant marketing expert. Welcome to the Restaurant Rocket Fuel podcast, where we discuss marketing strategies that leading restaurateurs are using to grow and expand their restaurants. This podcast is sponsored by Boostly, the text marketing company that works with every point of sale and online ordering vendor in the industry. No contracts, no monthly fees. Learn more at boostly.com. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Mark Sorensen. He's the owner of Social High Rise, a restaurant marketing agency that really helps restaurants to shine through awesome social media, reviews, and listings management. And before this adventure, he even ran a restaurant loyalty company. So his experience with restaurants and operators spans every aspect of the operations. He has an amazing and fantastic team that has helped hundreds of restaurants and businesses really connect with their customers online. So, Mark, I am super excited to have you on today. Thanks for coming and sharing your stories and experiences with us.
Yo, it is a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. I'm glad that we get to do this. This is going to be fun.
Absolutely. Maybe before we dive into all the juicy tactical things, can you share a little bit more about your background and about, Social High Rise as well?
Yeah. So my background is the first company I started was called Karma-Key. It was a loyalty program for restaurants. Honestly, we were going to replace all the paper punch card loyalty cards out in the world because that was the problem to solve. And it was a great experience. I ran that company into the ground. We failed for many reasons. Probably I wouldn't have changed a thing. I probably like the best learning lesson of mostly what not to do, but very, very instructive that time. And since then, when I built that company, I spent a lot of time in the restaurants space, observing and working with the early clients that we had to figure out how we could help them. And marketing and social media was like a clear struggle for them. This was probably like almost 15 years ago. And so at that time, social media was very new, especially for restaurants. And they didn't really know what to do about it. So Social High Rise was created to take that work off of their plate. And as we saw the struggles that especially independent restaurant owners have, time is a big constraint. And then also they didn't necessarily get into the food business to become digital marketers. Like that's not where they want to spend their time. And so for restaurants who are strapped for time, for restaurants who do find it challenging to try to stay on top of trends and understand social media dynamics and changing algorithms, like the space changes a lot, they hire us to take that off their plate. We just do it for them as a partnership. So we work specifically, we give them an account manager, someone on our team, supported by our whole team of experts. And we're like the right-hand best friend for anything online, anything related to their online presence. We create all their content for them. We manage their community, make sure that they have excellent customer service in the way they respond to reviews. We make sure that they get found on Google by having a presence on not just Google, but every listing and directory site that matters, including updating their hours of operation, their menus. We run paid meta campaigns for them to get exposure to people who maybe aren't following their pages that they want to get in front of. So all of that work is hard for many restaurants. And so we just, it's not that we simplify it for them, we just straight up do it for them.
I love that. You mentioned, some of the components of like listings and making sure that the hours are correct. Maybe can you speak for a little bit on the importance of listing management and why is that impactful and important for a restaurant?
Yeah, more and more, this is becoming a topic of discussion among, we go to a lot of trade shows and I speak at a lot of these trade shows and teach with other restaurant marketing experts. And this has like become a big topic is local SEO. So Google processes like 9 out of 10 searches in the world. So when somebody is hungry and they're looking for food, they don't go ask the guy on the street or the concierge. They just pull out their supercomputer, which is their phone, and they just look at the map and say, let me see all the restaurants. They look at a couple of details, maybe look them up on social media, and they pick one of the restaurants that just shows up on the map. Like we're suckers for convenience. We're lazy. We don't go scouring, and we don't have time for that. We're hungry. We need to figure it out. That's like how most of the customer journey starts, is online. And Google Google's the one who delivers the results for what restaurants get found. But the way that Google decides which restaurants show up when you're searching is there's a lot of things that they take into consideration. One of the big things is, does this business have a robust presence on the internet? Another way to think about it is, whatever information your restaurant has in Google has to then kind of verify that what you put for them is actually real and can be like kind of fact checked. And they do that by scanning dozens and dozens and dozens of other directory sites like Bing and Yahoo and Apple and Uber Maps and Apple Maps and City Search. And there's just a ton of, and then a lot of niche sites that nobody really thinks of. The more that Google sees consistent, accurate information across the board, the more they trust the business. And Google obsesses over showing the most accurate results when someone's searching for something. So if you can prove to Google that your information is trustworthy, then Google just simply will show you to more people. Not to mention that if you include like your menu on all the different listing sites on the internet, Google now has all of this extra context to know what kind of searches that your restaurant should show up in. So, for example, if you're a pizza restaurant and someone says pizza near me, like you want to show up for that search. Most searches are unbranded. 2/3 of them are unbranded, meaning like the person looking for a restaurant doesn't really know what kind. They're just saying like restaurant or like food near me. It's like it's not specific. That's 2/3, and those people convert within the hour. Like it's crazy how much this matters. This is like how you can get so many more customers by just being an option on the first page. So managing your listings is like one of the most foundational things a restaurant can do to be found on Google. And then the other real reason is, holy crap, that's how you actually give good customer service on the first impression. I mean, consumers hate it when restaurants' hours are outdated. They show up, they're actually closed, but the internet says they're open. You can turn people off immediately, sometimes forever, by not paying attention or like allowing wrong info to be published about you on different directory sites. So it's a huge pain in the butt to do this manually. So we do it. We just take it off their plate. We have a tool called Social Menu that automatically updates all about 60 to 70 different apps, maps, search engines with name, address, phone number, amenities, menus, hours of operation, and then just gives a restaurant full control, granular control over their whole entire online presence.
Yeah, that's great. This is like a foundational. You use the phrase that this is a foundational thing. Like,
yeah,
if you want to be found, and if you want Google to see you as consistent and accurate and trustworthy, you need to have the consistency across the board. And I think this is one layer to the next question, but maybe you can kind of expound on this a little bit. And the question is how to set up the restaurant for marketing success with social media. And obviously, the listing management and the local SEO is part of being found online. But there's also a social media aspect that's different. And that's another area where I think you have a lot of advice and expertise to share with the subscribers here. How would you answer that question of setting up your restaurant for success with social media marketing?
Yeah, that's a really, really important question. I think step one is like the actual logistical setting up profiles. I mean, I think most restaurants have an Instagram account already. And if you don't, go get one, or have a Facebook page created for them. If you don't, obviously create that page, fill out all the information on that page, make sure that it represents your brand properly. So just having those profiles is like, I guess, the setup. Um, but the real magical part is like, how do you ongoing manage those profiles for a long, since we started Social High Rise, we have always viewed social media through the lens of customer service and relationships and like the human connections that you can have with your guests. And as time goes on, and as Meta, Facebook, Instagram updates their algorithms or further defines what's good content versus not good content, more and more and more it is circling their wagons around that exact same concept that we've always had that's core for us, which is that it is about storytelling and people and relationships and human connection. So what you say on your pages, it matters. And the people who follow your pages, it's really important to know that those are not just randos on the internet. They are your guests. They are your very best guests. They are people who have eaten your food or absolutely plan on eating your food. Because why? Because if they haven't eaten your food and they don't plan on it, they're not going to follow your page. That's just how it works. Nobody follows restaurant pages that they don't care about. So it's important to know that like when you post something, you're talking to your homies. You're talking to your regulars. That's who you're talking to. And you don't need to really hard sell your regulars. They already love you. So what they're there for is to follow your story. They like you and they follow your pages because they like you as the restaurant owner. They like your brand. They like, of course, the food, but they like the feelings they get when they're there, and they like the what you stand for and maybe the causes that you support. There's like a whole living, breathing, colorful story that is your restaurant, and they're here for it. And so what they want is to follow along with the story. So you have to tell your story. So success for social media, and to clarify, I'm talking specifically about like organic social media, like not paid ads. The strategy is to talk about your restaurant in all the ways, good, bad, and ugly, to be as authentic, real, raw as possible, so that it really is a reflection of reality. And if you do that, what you'll end up with people engaging with your content. That's the metric of real success on social media is engagement and then reach. In fact, that comes directly from like Instagram's SMB division, is that success metrics for organic is reach and engagement. So if you're getting those things and you're being top of mind with your best guests, that's how you inspire them to come more often and spend more money and tip your people better and order dessert this time and leave you great reviews. Like you get them to just do more of what you want by just simply like being there on their newsfeed regularly when they're not inside of your restaurant. So that's part. Is that a start?
Oh, yeah, I think that's great. And I think this is also a really good call out that there are different types of social media marketing. There's organic social media and there's paid ads that you do on social media. And those do have different strategies and different outcomes that you're trying to get. One of the things that you mentioned that really pops out is to be like really authentic with, the good, the bad, and the ugly of things that happen in a restaurant. And sometimes I think operators shy away from sharing anything that goes wrong in their restaurant. I think that can actually have the opposite impact that a lot of operators think. This was probably 2 years ago. I saw a post from a restaurant operator here in Utah, and they mentioned that like one of their waiters like had a customer that was really rude to them, and it was like really weighing them down, and that they were trying to solve some issues that the customer had, and the customer at the end of the day just like treated them poorly, and they didn't like highlight this as like, hey, somebody had a bad experience. They highlighted this as, hey, sometimes your waiter is, coming off of a bad, a negative experience with the customer, and that happens. And here's what we do about it at the restaurant to try and help keep them motivated and all these things. And they talked about it in this like it was like a reel on Facebook and
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. And then I think the next day there was another one that was like, wow, I had no idea that we would get this type of response. We had, about 5 people come in and give like super big tips to the servers, and they said, "Hey, we know people had a hard day yesterday. We want to just contribute." And the restaurant like followed up on that, and it created this buzz and this excitement, and it came from sharing something negative that
Yeah.
had happened that was just real and raw and full of emotion, and people respected that. And I think sometimes like it's easy to not follow your advice to be real and raw, but talk about it. People like are attracted to that rawness, I think.
Uh, You're 100% right. I could tell you countless stories. I know that like during the pandemic in particular, that was a rough time for every single restaurant. That was really rough. And some restaurants closed. They had to close their doors. And for the clients that we had, it was like a night and day difference between our clients who were willing to be vulnerable during that time and say things like, "Hey, we're struggling. We're struggling right now, and we're not really sure what to do, but here's what we're doing, and we have to change, and here's how you can do business with us, even though it's not the way you normally do, and we love you no matter what, but this is hard, and we'll probably get through it." And versus the ones who kind of didn't want to say any of that stuff and just wanted to they were too afraid to be vulnerable. The restaurants that were even just a little bit vulnerable, it's like people came out of the woodwork to come and go out of their way, bend over backwards to give them their money. Take my money. It will be okay because I got you. And not to mention just like the changes that happened, restaurants that stayed connected on social media with their guests were able to move quickly and change and pivot. We had a client who's a fine dining, and they're like, "Fine dining, we don't do takeout. Like, we don't ever do that. We don't do delivery. Like, we're fine dining. We're a fancy steakhouse." And so, what we helped them to turn into was a butcher shop because they were on the hook for 6 months worth of beef that they already paid for. And then what they did is they had their chefs shoot videos teaching how to cook the perfect steak at home, and then they had orders for uncooked steaks. And that became the spark that got them through some of those early rough months. And people showed up. So yes, the authenticity part is important. And I could go on and on about stories, but yeah, any restaurant that's brave enough to be authentic and real. I mean, if you think about it, there's a reason why reality TV is prolific in our day. It's because people want to connect with reality, like real human emotions for good and bad. And that's why it's taken off. So you can give your guests the story that they want in a way that they will like if you include some of the tough times as well as like the polished, everything's great, come for a good time and a good meal. And that you can, if you mix it up and be real, like it's better for you every time.
I love that. In the few minutes that we have left here together, what's one piece of advice for restaurant owners to succeed or improve their marketing?
Yeah, that's a big question because marketing is a lot. Just to stick it with the topics that we're talking about, there's social media marketing. I mean, I think the big thing that I tell restaurants that I see get confused, we kind of touched on it, is that organic social media, it is a retention play. That's what it's for. It's retention. And paid social is acquisition. So don't get those confused. Don't think that whether you or someone else is going to post on organically, that's going to get you in front of new audiences and new people and new customers. It will a little bit, but it's mostly going to be seen by the people who already follow you. And then to get in front of the new people, you just have to pay Meta or Google or whatever you're advertising. You have to pay for that privilege to get in front of people who don't know who you are. So understanding that is important. And then the authenticity thing. I mean, don't be afraid to be vulnerable, and just know that like your story is more than just your food. It's human centric. Like make sure that you include pictures of people in your content. It could be you, it could be your staff, it could be customers, because that's what people want to engage with. You'll find that your engagement on your stuff will go up because there's people in it. And then the third little hack I guess I'll share is like, don't be afraid to use user-generated content. Like use the photos, videos that your guests take while they're at your restaurant, and they tag you in on Instagram or on their story, or they, in their Yelp or Google review, they include like a picture. Feel free to take the good work that they've done and make that your post. Give them a shout out, like give them credit for it. Maybe pair the 5-star review that they left for you. That can be your post for the day, is just like letting your customers take part in telling your story with you. Those are the principles that we live by. It's been successful for our clients for the last 13 years that we've been doing this. So go do it. That's what I would say.
Super great advice. Thanks for sharing. I love those examples that you just shared. Those are really good, easy to reproduce tactical things. What are the best ways for people to follow you and Social High Rise after this?
Yeah, you can always go to our website and see what's going on there. You can subscribe to our newsletter. We periodically send out good stuff. Follow us on social media. I mean, that's what we do. And you'll see what we're all about. And of course, if anybody feels like social media is just not in their wheelhouse and they just need to get it off their plate, you go on our site, book a call, and we'll figure out if it's a good fit to help you partner with you in one way or another, so that you can just focus on running your business, doing the things that you do best.
Awesome. And what's your website and your maybe Instagram handle?
Yeah, socialhighrise.com is the website. And we have all Social High Rise, no spaces, for our handles on X and Instagram, Facebook, everywhere.
Awesome. Well, Mark, thank you for coming and sharing these highlights and experiences. There's a lot that we can take away. So thank you for sharing.
Awesome. It's my pleasure. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I look forward to the next time we do round 2 and just like do the reunion tour.
Absolutely. We'll get into some more juicy ones next time for sure as well.
Yeah. We'll get real.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark.
All right. Thanks, Shane. Appreciate you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Restaurant Rocket Fuel. And thank you to the amazing restaurateurs that work so hard to provide an amazing guest experience for our communities. Again, this podcast is sponsored by Boostly. To see how we can drive more revenue to your business, visit boostly.com. Don't forget to subscribe and go out there and maximize the potential that you and your business have in front of you.